Hi everybody, my name is Travis Schubauer. This is my TED Talk, and I will be covering the topic of poverty and how that affects nutrition in children. The purpose of my speech today will be to examine how nutrition affects developing minds and poverty's role in this development. I will also look at some of the reasons these young people are not getting their nutrition that they need and look at some possible solutions so that we can make things better for the future generation. This is a topic that hits pretty close to home for me. I am a PE teacher at a school that is classified as 100% below the poverty line. So obviously I take health and physical activity very seriously. And my job at school every day is to get the kids up and running around and work on the physical fitness. But as a lot of us know, that isn't enough. You need to be having proper nutrition to go along with physical fitness to be truly healthy. Because running 5 miles is a waste of time if you go home and eat 15 cheeseburgers. So, I, throughout the school day, we don't get a whole lot of time to focus on nutrition because it's math and reading and writing and all of that stuff. And so they just get their food at lunch that they eat it, they go home, and who knows what sort of stuff they're getting, what nutrients are they getting, lacking, things like that. So this is one that hits close to home. That's why I chose this topic, and it's one that after this research is something that I do think I might pursue a little bit more, particularly in my school district and with my students to see if there's something else we can do. Because a lot of the problems that I find and that I'll be sharing with you with kids who don't get the proper nutrients at a young age are things that I see in my school every single day. Um, so the role that poverty plays is a pretty big one, but it's also hard to pinpoint because there's so much other things that happen to somebody when they are living in poverty. So an article written by Rosales and a few other people that was published back in 2009 obviously noted that socioeconomic status plays a large role in whether or not kids are getting proper nutrition, but it's also hard to pinpoint that as the only reason for kids being unhealthy is just because they can't get healthy food. Um, like I said, housing is another issue that people in poverty face. Healthcare, access to healthcare. So not getting proper nutrition is just the tip of the iceberg. But this lack of nutrition that the kids are not getting when they're in the womb, and then when the kids are not getting that as they grow up, leads to some pretty significant developmental delays in the frontal lobes. Sion Idua, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, in 2013 wrote an article discussing some of the things that they've noticed in students or kids who have a lack of nutrition, and one of the things was the development of their frontal lobes in your brain. And the frontal lobes play a pretty key role in a lot of your cognitive functions. One of those is problem solving, planning ahead, implementing strategies, evaluating, and staying on task. I have students every day in my PE class that I will tell them to do something, they will do it for 3 seconds and then immediately do something else. So the staying on task is something that I have seen quite a bit, and that also correlates to something also that Idoa found, and that is that students who are not getting um, proper nutrition because of their poverty situation, in fact, have higher rates of ADHD. Okay, and for those, like I said, a lot of us do know what ADHD is, but that lack of attention span, the inability to focus on tasks, and obviously in an elementary school, that is a tough thing to battle because we are pushing the kids pretty hard because they're low academically, and then if they're having struggles to paying attention, then that's compounding the issue. So this lack of nutrients is then leading down the road to ADHD, which is then reducing the students' abilities to perform well in school, and then this is turning into a cycle. Um, because by the time these people have kids, you're probably going to see the same thing. Another thing that was discovered by Rosales and the authors from the article I read regarding that was titled "Understanding the Role of Nutrition," was that there's also quite a few behavioral disturbances, and behavior issues are something that I see as well every single day at my school. We do a lot of behavior management at our school, and before looking at this research, I just kind of assumed that these behavioral issues were just become because of how they were raised and their upbringing. But looking at this now, it's making me think that it has something to do with the development of their brain as a young child, because we get a lot of struggles with our students who, um, just because they, like I said, make some poor choices behavior wise. So that was something that definitely I found interesting. And it's not, again, something that if I do further my interest in this subject that I would continue to look at. Um, the main reasons that people in poverty are not getting their nutrition, and these are according to FRAC.com. FRAC stands for the Food Research and Action Center. One main reason is lack of grocery stores. Um, if you look at a community where the poverty rate is high, you're not going to see very many grocery stores, and you're not going to see, and if you do see grocery stores, it's not going to be ones that are offering like organic foods and super healthy foods. A lot of people who live in poverty are forced to shop at like gas stations and corner stores, and if any of you have ever paid attention in a gas station, there's not very many healthy options there. When I go to a gas station, if I'm on a road trip or something, I typically stop to get like a bag of chips and a pop. Um, or some beef jerky. It's not super healthy food. So obviously, if you don't have access to the food because of lack of grocery stores in their communities, then you're not going to get that healthy food, which is leading to this nutrient deficit. Another reason is lack of transportation. These people don't have a lot of times don't have cars to get to the grocery store. Um, so if they are able to get a ride to a grocery store, typically what they will do is stock up and buy a lot of stuff, which typically if you're going to buy a lot of stuff, you're not going to buy healthy food that's going to go bad in a week. You're going to buy the processed foods and canned goods and things that aren't going to go bad, so that way in a month you still have food. Also, when you go to a grocery store, it takes a lot. So if you have to walk to the grocery store, you're not going to fill your bag with, a heavy watermelon if you got to walk back. Um, the cost of food is another reason, and basically, health food is expensive. If you pay attention in your grocery store, everything that's organic is usually $1 more. All natural stuff costs more. And these people who don't have money as it is, so they're not going to spend money on nutrient-rich food, and they're going to get the most bang for their buck. Um, Fast food availability is another big issue, and particularly they notice that there's a lot of fast food places around schools where the poverty rate is high, and this holds true for my school as well. Within walking distance from the school I teach at, there's a street that I like to call Fast Food Avenue because it literally has just about every fast food chain on it. I mean, Taco Bell, Subway, McDonald's, Wendy's, it goes on. And when you think about if you have $5 to spend, you're going to go to one of these fast food places that have these meals now where you can get a burger and chicken nuggets and a fries and a pop for like $4. Of course, you're going to spend your $5 on all that food instead of going down and buying a bag of apples for $5. Okay, so there's just, and the alarming thing there is that these are a lot of times close to schools, so clearly there's a targeted audience that they're trying to reach. And the other thing that comes lead poor nutrition, a lot of times you'll see obesity among people who live in poverty, and that is due to their inconsistent meals. So it may look like they're getting a lot of food, but their meals aren't coming on a regular basis. So typically what happens then is that when they do get food, they tend to overeat because you don't know when you're going to get it again. And then that leads to overeating, and then that leads to the obesity epidemic on top of the lack of nutrition that they're not getting. Possible solutions and what we can do to help with this is just raise awareness. Through my research, I found a lot of good articles that discussed nutritional problems in countries not in the United States. But having seen this firsthand, I know that this is a home issue as well, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. So if we can create some awareness and let people know that there's kids here in America that need to eat food and need nutrients, I think that'll go, excuse me, a long way to helping them. Participating in local food drives, donating anything that you can donate, obviously that helps, and then some community involvement, working with community leaders to come up with something. Because I know it, some of the situations that my students are growing up in are pretty bad, and there's not much I can do for it. It's gotta be community-led initiatives. Um, so working with mayor, city council, things like that, coming up with programs that can help not only the families but help these kids get the food that they need, so that hopefully they can be successful later in life. Here are the references if you care to look a little bit deeper at the stuff I was talking about. There's the EDOA article at the top about the role of nutrition in children's learning and their behaviors. Rosales, Resnick, and Zeisel, Understanding the Role of Nutrition in the Brain and Behavioral Development. And then also from frac.com was the Why Low Income and Food Insecure People Are Vulnerable to Obesity. So thank you for listening and have a great day.